Hello, good morning. Welcome again to Summit. It's our midweek edition of the program, and it's good to have you on the program today. Like we always do, we'll be looking at, of course, national issues, the breaking stories, and we'll be able to give you correct information on all these things. My name is Jumoke Michaels. You're welcome. Banji, good to be here.
Jumoke, it's good to be here 48 hours after. My name is Banji Busari, and Jumoke, without necessarily belling the cat, I must say that the topic we actually intend to discuss today is something that should concern every viewer, every Nigerian, be you parents, students, whoever you are. I'm sure the topic affects you in one way or the other. Jumoke, I think this.
Yes, we're going to be talking about the ASUU and federal government crisis update, updating you on what has been transpiring and the news that broke yesterday on education sector. And very interestingly, this morning we'd like you to be a part of the discussion by calling in to share your opinion with us on this issue. We know that the Education Minister, Adamu, on behalf of the federal government, set up another 14-man panel to resolve these strike contentions. Banji?
Yeah, I think it's an issue that defied all solutions, but we seem to be getting close to a solution this time around. It's about education, and any country that fails to accord education its rightful place in its budgetary allocation, in policy formulation, and everything that concerns education would actually have no choice but to retrogress. And no country wants to retrogress anyway. What first option, somebody was asked, what is the best way to the top for a nation? The answer was education. And the question was asked again, what's the second best option towards getting to the top? The answer was education. And the third question came, what's the third best option towards getting to the top for any nation? The answer again was education. So it can't be different in our country. Education is the best way to the top. And irrespective of whatever we are doing, election 2023, and every other issue, I think education must actually get the pride of place in our national discourse, in our budgetary allocation, in the attention from the presidency to the local government chairman, what we do to salvage this almost very, very terrible, very bad situation that our education is actually going through. So Adamu actually decided to step back a little bit, according to him, to review the no work, no pay policy of the federal government. I think it's the right way to go because the stalemate has been on for so long. The government is saying no work, no pay. The lecturers are saying no pay, no work. So how do we advance from there? And I think the best way, the most sensible thing to do is to reach a compromise. Some people have suggested that ASUU has to shift some ground. Same for federal government. I think in the spirit of shifting ground, there's another committee yesterday, and we are concerned. Is it just going to be another committee? Because we have had several committees in our search for a solution to FG ASUU strike. So the issue before us, as parents, as stakeholders, students, everybody that thinks education must be accorded its right place. This issue before us. That's why we're dedicating this edition to you. What's your own opinion? Is it just going to be a palliative measure or just talk shop? Or how do we salvage education and allow our boys, our girls, our children to return to schools after 7 months? Jumoke, I think that's the issue.
You have done a good work of introducing this topic so that people will understand that we need your reaction to this issue. And the number to call is 080 233-47006. All right, the number is there on the screen. Just call and please make your contribution as short as possible so that we can have opportunity for many more people to call in to the program. Let your contribution not be more than at least 1 minute. And then please, when you call in, we'd like you to reduce the volume of your TV set at home so that we don't have reverberations. So please lower the volume of your TV set, and please bear it in mind that you're only calling in for 1 minute so that we can give opportunity to other people. The number is there on the screen. All right, like Banji said, there have been other committees that has been introduced, that has been set up on this issue, this same issue of resolving this crisis. And we also have that what the federal government has suggested that they can only do 23.5% pay raise for teachers and 36% for professors, saying that they don't want to sign any agreement that they cannot keep, you know. So federal government has said, okay, this is what we can do, but still.
Well, I think just as I said before, the federal government has actually demonstrated its willingness to actually provide solution to this protracted crisis. 35% is
for
something
professors,
for professors.
36% for
professors, at least something to cheer about.
Yeah.
At least it's an improvement over the past or where we're coming from. And that will come to about 800,000 for an average professor, as against the 1.2 million that was negotiated in 2009. Where from 800, I believe, in subsequent years, the lecturers might actually get their desired
good morning.
demand.
Okay, we lost the call.
So, and for the other lecturers, 23.5% over what they have been paying. I mean, what they've been paid over the years is an improvement.
Yeah.
So I think the time has come for even the lecturers, ASU particularly, to have a rethink over its, what you may call, its adamant posture of taking everything at once.
You know, they're insisting on 100% implementation.
The solution cannot come all at once. It will have to be gradual, and it will have to be graduated. For instance, about...
Hello, good morning. This is who? Sorry, please come again.
Okay. On the issue of ASUS, how do they expect to remain at home and is ready to be at camp when they cannot work? They should compromise with the federal government to negotiate and come to a solution and get our children back.
All right, thank you. Okay, thank you. So he's talking about them being able to negotiate. This is not the beginning of these negotiations.
The review, the part of the reasons in forming the new committee is to further the negotiation process. The government has started by actually approving the increment. But of course, the committee, the 14-man committee, would actually come and fine-tune whatever government has done. Some of the lecturers are saying the unilateral increment without a kind of negotiation by the lecturers is not acceptable. I think that's not the route to follow for now. Anybody that has interest of these children who have remained with their parents in the last 6 months, anybody who has the interest of these students at heart must actually think of a kind of compromise this time around. Situation where everybody will stick to his own demand or stick to his position may not actually get us where we are. And these children may remain at home for the next 1 year. So the time has come for the lecturers to shift ground, as some stakeholders have said.
But Banji, would
The
you
problem
really,
did not happen over.
Exactly, would you
The
really
problem did
blame
not
them?
happen overnight. The problem was inherited or has been accumulating over the years from successive administrations.
Yeah.
This administration has come out in the open and said that it does not have the ability for them to have actually, succeeded in increasing the salary. It shows that they have demonstrated the willingness to do it.
After several months
Even
of
when
back
it
and
means
forth.
they have to go and borrow to do these payments. The government has said that it is borrowing to service debts. And that is instructive enough that things can no longer be the way they have been over the years. So the lecturers have to borrow a leaf from that statement.
All right, so we want you to call in. The number is there on the screen to share your opinion with us on this, because this is an issue that concerns everyone. It's an issue that concerns all Nigerians. So we'd like you to call in to share your opinion with us on this topic. Hello, good morning.
Yeah. The same thing in Ogundele, please.
Okay,
very well, better
Ogundele. All right, it's better. We can hear you better now.
Talking about inheritance. When my father died, if I inherit his estate, if the estate is not good enough for me, I will have to repair it to my own taste.
Yes.
The past regime enter into agreement with these people. When these people say, see that the agreement by the previous administration is not implemented, why can't they call these teachers? The agreement between you since 2009 is not implementable. Please let us come to table and make our own agreement. These teachers are not mad. Once you inherit your father's estate, you need to continue. Make the estate good, contribute to every living. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogundele.
All right, so let's take another call. Yeah. Hello, good morning. Okay. All right, so from what he's saying, let's look at, would you want to react to what he said? Talking about when you inherit a problem, you are supposed to, like you inherit your father's properties. If you are not satisfied with it, you work on it. So he's probably saying that the federal government is not doing this, not approaching this with right attitude or with the sense of being able to solve the lingering problem. But let's look at another thing they suggested, that they are going to put 150 billion naira provision in 2023 budget for revitalization of federal universities in the first quarter of 2023, and that they are going to make provision for 50 billion naira also in the 2023 budget for payment of outstanding earned academic allowances. You know, so aside from the increment in salaries, this is another thing that the federal government has, suggested to ASU. And I don't know if ASU is still demanding the release of these monies now, immediately.
I think the duty before
lack of trust, you say?
The duty before the task before this new committee.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. All right, go on.
The task before this fresh committee is actually to succeed in harmonizing all these various views, particularly the one from ASU. Like I said earlier on, the committee must work hard towards ensuring that both the federal government and ASU shift ground, because these are the two elephants in this struggle, in this crisis. The ASU asking for 100% release of the funds that's asked for will be unrealistic for now, because the government has said it time and again. Though there are issues of corruption, There are issues of
lack of trust.
Lack of trust.
Very important.
There are issues of, the decay that has existed over the time in our tertiary institutions, which also is asking for total overhauling all at a go. I don't think that's realistic. It has to be gradual, and I believe that the ASU has succeeded in making its demand known and clear to all Nigerians. And everybody is now in the whole picture of how bad the situation is in our tertiary institutions. And the time has come for all of us to hold the government responsible. ASU has done its best. Taking it beyond where it has achieved or what it has got to now would actually bring greater damage to the educational sector, much more than it's trying to solve.
All right, so we have also that clerics and others are seeking an end to this strike action. Probably before they were not intervening, they were not lending their voice to this strike issue. But right now, clerics, other civil society groups are saying that it is actually time to find a middle playing ground, to bring this matter to an end. Do you think that them lending their voice to this now is belated?
Yeah, it's not.
Or it's just right on time?
I don't think it's belated. But even beyond that, Jumoke, the task or the challenge is not just before the federal government. Of course, this crisis should actually make ASU itself to put on its thinking cap. Now, beyond looking up to funding from the federal government, what can ASU itself do creatively to make our educational system work? I mean, what proposals, for instance, do they have to present before the government in terms of funding? And in other climes, we have private sector input, private sector administration of tertiary institutions. Can ASU come up with that proposal? Because situation where a student, for instance, in federal institutions, pay 30,000 naira or 40,000 or 50,000 annually, and such a child is looking forward to getting quality education, quality degree at the end of the day. It's unrealistic. I think the time has come. That committee should make a proposal that is long-lasting, because things are not likely to get better economically.
You remember that?
So what?
But you remember that even when the fees was increased to this 30 or 50,000, the students themselves came out to protest that this is too expensive for us, because you expect that children who attend federal universities these days, maybe the children from the poor family or like the middle class. So if you are trying to go that direction, don't you think that the students themselves will be the one to call for a strike or a protest?
Without being insensitive to the plight of Nigerians, if you look at the gap between the private institutions and the public, situation where in private institutions students pay 500, 700, 1 million, 3 million, and these same students are supposed to rank equally in terms of quality at graduation. I mean, it's unrealistic. These same lecturers that are ill-motivated are not likely to give the best to these students. And at the end of the day, it impacts on the quality of education that you give out to these children. So without being unrealistic, any parent that desires the best quality education, that rank with the private institutions, that rank with other universities in the world, must start thinking that the era of free public education at tertiary level has come and gone. That's the reality. If these lecturers go back, I'm sure that keeping the promise by the federal government is another issue. And the most, for me, the enduring solution to this crisis is for us to review total restructuring of our educational system. If parents are paying at the secondary level, are paying hundreds of thousands at the primary level, why would they pay 30,000 pittance at the university level. Okay. That's
Right,
where we are
that's
today.
exactly, because we have to look at the reality on ground
The reality.
to be able to readapt
Yes.
to it and then make the best out of it. They say you make a lemonade out of lemon. All right, so the situation on ground, like Banji has submitted, is bigger than what we are doing to ensure that we bring all that to an end. Well, the line seems to be jamming. We are receiving calls, but once I pick it, it cuts off. So, but let's see how we can still go in the next few minutes we have on this discussion. Now, how will finding a common ground be achieved? You know, because it's very obvious that ASU has stood its ground for about 6 months now. Even when the no work, no pay directive was made, they refused to shift ground, which is where you would have thought that they would have reconsidered that, so after all these months of being on strike, we'll gain nothing. But they told government, if you like, say no work, no pay, we'll stand our ground. So do we find them, do you envisage them finding a common
this
ground?
The committee has a capacity to actually get us out of this mess. But what it requires is the ability of every member of the committee to put national interest first before personal interest. This ASU, I'm sure they are not just fighting for themselves. They are fighting for generations of ASU. They are fighting for generations of students,
yes,
particularly the total picture of revitalizing, revamping education in this country. But of what use is it going to be if most of the students are actually frustrated out of schools before the solution is found? The damage will be so calamitous. That's the way I look at it. That's the way I look at it. So I think winning some, losing some is the spirit that should be taken to that committee.
All right, so we envisage that a common ground will be achieved at the end of the day on this matter between federal government and ASU. Okay, like I said, the line is jamming, the calls are coming in, so please, we apologize for all those who are trying to reach us here in the studio. I don't know why the network is like that this morning, but we want to thank you for trying to reach us here in the studio, and also for the man who called, we want to say thank you. Okay, I think we should move on to the next segment, or you want to land?
No, Jumoke, I know that ASU has actually pushed this case to the point that nobody can even afford to ignore them. The federal government too should also do something very, very drastic. And that is a situation where it's on one hand saying that it is broke, and on the other hand, profligacy, we see corruption, we see so many leakages in our treasury, in our national budgetary system and all that. Snakes, termites, all of them, coming up on a daily basis. And then we claim that we are poor. We claim that we are broke. I think the trust gap has to be closed such that an average Nigerian would also come to believe us. Because you just spoke about resistance in terms of jacking up the school fees. Yeah. If an average parent knows that truly and in true sincerity, federal government is broke, federal government would, they will not mind.
Hello, good morning. Let's take this last call. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
On the issue of no work, no pay. Yes. National Assembly has a lot to do. They should amend the labor law such that there will be limitation to a period strike can last. It is true that there is right to strike, but it should not be to the detriment of the humanity. So let the National Assembly amend the law related to strike action. There must be limitation to a period workers can strike and earn their
Thank you.
Thank you very
sir.
much.
Okay,
So as I was saying, I said the trust gap has to be closed such that people would believe the words coming out of presidency, words coming out of National Assembly, words coming out of state government.
But like you said, do
governors.
you think that the National Assembly is not actually doing enough based on their responsibilities to the nation at large, based on what he's saying, that maybe there are some laws that could emanate from the National Assembly that will help curb challenges like this?
I'm aware that experts, those who are very versed in labor law, have actually posited that this no work, no pay policy does not apply to this scenario of this ASU strike that has been wrongly applied. So that's one of the issues. I agree with him that the National Assembly should actually look critically at the issues so that this law is not applied wrongly in the future, because that's what government has held on to. And for 2 months now, federal government is saying, yes, we have agreed on all terms, all other terms, that you can't take the pay for the work you did not do. It does not apply to the workers, to this association.
Right.
So I'm saying, when you are a governor, make sure that you are honest, you earn the trust of the people. Same for the president, same for the National Assembly. That way, governance will be easy, and people will buy into your ideas, cooperate, and do their own bit to move the nation forward. I think the trust gap is responsible for where we have found ourselves today.
Yeah. Because it's an issue that have been dragging for so many years. All right, thank you so much, Banji, for your. I'm thanking you.
Thank you too.
For your wonderful summation this morning.
Thank you very much. Okay? I'm a parent. I'm a parent. I'm really, 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 really affected. I'm concerned. I'm disturbed. And but I have a faith in this country.
All right.
I have the
So
faith
let's believe
that
this new committee set up will be able to find it
in the next couple of days.
Complete, total solution.
Yes, in the next couple of days. That is before the end of September. Our children will resume.
Amen. I say amen. All right, so that's the discussion on ASU federal government crisis update. And thank you to all those who have tried to call and for those whose calls were able to come in. We appreciate you. All right, we'll be moving to another segment of the program this afternoon or this morning, where we'll be showcasing another giant stride that the administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is making in the state of Lagos. And today we'll be showcasing their accomplishments in the tourism sector. A lot is happening in the tourism sector in Lagos State, and we will be showcasing that in this segment of the program. So we would like you to sit back and enjoy and learn from what the administration is doing in Lagos State. I believe that we'll still be able to come back probably to round up the program, but if not, we'll be back on Monday for another edition of Summit. Till then, stay blessed.
To be on the safe side, let me say bye-bye. So see you.
It is humans' desire to travel and explore the universe so as to experience what happens around them, which is why tourism must be open to everyone to enjoy. Tourism is the act and process of spending time away from home in pursuit of recreation, relaxation and pleasure, while making use of the commercial provisions of services. As such, tourism is a product of modern social arrangements, which creates jobs, promotes local culture and products, works on the sustainable use and management of the environment, improves measures to make tourism an inclusive experience for all, and increase gross domestic product, GDP, of any nation. Looking inward to the history of tourism in Nigeria, one could cite Lagos being one of the most populous cities of Africa, and it's ranked at the 7th number amongst the list of the fastest-growing cities of the world as the genesis of tourism. In this regard, the Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Obafemi Hamzat-led administration did not only recognize that entertainment is of key essence in a modern society, it has infused tourism as a powerful tool that can support and transform entertainment in many ways. One of the ways that is geared towards accomplishing this is the launch of a community-based tourism CBT initiative with a pilot phase in 6 local government areas, namely Ekpe, Badagry, Ikorodu, Oshodi Solo, Etiosa, and Surulere.
Working together will ensure that tourism becomes a good experience for the citizenry, for Lagos State, for Lagosians, when we're talking about domestic tourism. One of the things we're also growing, and we've started, is the community-based tourism. And we didn't even know that the theme will be, all-inclusive when we decided to go the route of community-based tourism, because it is in doing community-based tourism that domestic tourism grows. And that's when we include everybody. No one. It's an all-inclusive participatory tourism drive. And so for us, the World Tourism Day's theme could not have been more appropriate than how it is today.
The CBT unit in the ministry is in line with the state's tourism master plan and policy to explore, access and develop tourism potentials, such as unique cultural practices, tradition and heritage within the local community, and would further unravel tourism potentials in different local government areas and local development areas across Lagos State.
With this now, we'll be developing it, we'll be growing. Now our people can even make little things. Our economy will move from it. And that is the things I appreciate most in this country. And it will afford us to learn more about tourism.
In view of this, the Lagos State government has tasked taxi drivers and cab operators, including the operators of hailing car services, Uber, Taxify, Bolt, and others, as well as community-based tourism officers at the grassroots, on efficient visitor management as a way of advancing the state's tourism sector. Hence, training of these stakeholders of the tourism sector. The training with the theme, Visitor Management, the role of taxi drivers in tourism development, was organized to equip participants with needed information when interacting with tourists and also bring them at par with the vision of the state government in ensuring the growth of community-based tourism.
The passengers can come, they can take on this one house. They want to take it. You just be expecting different kind of customers with different needs, different things that they will demand of you. Some are impossible. Some you have to be creative and make it possible. Some you have to turn them down. But it's the way you turn them down that matters.
The participants were also made to see the importance of being customer-centric and desire to deliver delightful service to customers at every point of contact, as tourists and visitors of a state are customers and should be treated as such by everyone, especially car operators and tourism officers who usually have a close relationship and sometimes being the first contact with visitors to the state.
Anybody that enters Lagos and enters your vehicle, there should be an impression. It is that taxi, your taxi that is giving that first impression of what Lagos looks like.
Also, in commemoration of the year 2021 World Tourism Day, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture organized a symposium in line with the theme of the day, Tourism for Inclusive Growth, which will afford many opportunity to look beyond tourism statistics and knowledge that behind every number there is a person.
For us at the ministry, we realize this fact and have kept constant relationship with our stakeholders to regularly brainstorm and design ways through which we can keep this sector alive despite the COVID-19 threats. Your contributions to this production of the state's tourism master plan is an evidence of the synergic relationship that exists between us. You will recall that before today's symposium, we have held 2 interactive sessions as a way of harmonizing thoughts on the prosperity of Lagos State, especially as tourism, arts, and culture is concerned.
United World Tourism Organization has therefore designated World Tourism Day 2021 as a day to focus on tourism for inclusive growth. This will afford us the opportunity to look beyond tourism statistics and knowledge that behind every number there is a person. With this theme, the United World Tourism Organization is banking on us as tourism practitioners to celebrate tourism's unique ability to ensure that nobody is left behind as the world begins to open up and look at the future.
The ministry engaged various stakeholders in the tourism sector, including promoters, ambassadors, among others, on workable strategy that would sell the state's tourism potentials to local and international tourists through its domestic tourism initiative. Describing domestic tourism as inhabitants to provide opportunity and how to imbibe in our heritage and ethnic and culture.
Domestic tourism really talks about how tourism is not only for the international parties coming to a country, but also for residents and inhabitants of that country traveling to other parts within that country. And as we look at Nigeria as a beautiful, large country, then we see that domestic tourism provides this opportunity for us to interact with our history, it provides an opportunity for us to interact with our heritage, and it provides a path for economic growth.
Noting that the state is not oblivious of its enormous potentials and is working assiduously to cater for all and sundry, because tourism affects everyday activities, as it is not only tilted towards driving economic growth, but enhancing social progress across the world. Therefore, it is imperative that the inhabitants of local communities should be actively involved in tourism regardless of age, economic status, and religion. Also, women should be allowed to play key roles in ensuring inclusivity in the sector.
Tourism is therefore issuing a clarion call on the need for tourism to be open to all, leaving no one behind in the important role that can be played to achieve this noble aim.
When we talk about inclusiveness, really, it's the fact that in every aspect, everyone can feel that they're part of the industry, right? But then how do you get there? What does that actually mean? It looks nice and it sounds nice that we have it in our master plan, but then the question is, how can we ensure that tourism is inclusive from the supply side? The supply side of tourism in Lagos State needs significant work. It needs extensive work. And I'm happy that we have referred to the master plan, and we continue to refer to the master plan, but then the key issue there is how do we move this from a document to an action, particularly where we know that we have several master plans and we have several documents, and the challenge really is how can we execute them. And so when we talk about inclusive growth, from a supply side, it's talking about the different stakeholders that can come to be part of this master plan, to be part of its actualization, and to be part of its implementation. I like to look at the tourism system when I refer to this, really looking at the various parts of the cycle, right? And to ensure that within the ecosystem of tourism, we look at how we can provide inclusive opportunities that will then contribute to inclusive growth.
However, there is need for provision of social infrastructure that can facilitate easy access to local communities, as well as consistent training, education and development opportunities for occupants of historical buildings so that they can provide an ecosystem for economic and social growth.
Without transportation, there is nothing like tourism. Tourism can only thrive when you have efficient and effective transition system. Just like the key paper presenter today said, access to the tourist attraction location is very key. And the Commissioner for Tourism and Culture also mentioned something to provide part of their policy to provide provision of logistics. And the key logistic in tourism is what? Transportation. We need to meet the needs of the travelers, the tourist people. We need to meet even with provision of goods and services. That's why transition is very, very key. And the government must do everything. You all know that. Let me just remind, the first pillars of this administration is effective traffic and what? Transportation. That shows transport is very key. And for us to grow tourism, transportation must be taken seriously.
Entertainment, obviously, cannot thrive in isolation of tourism, as it is an activity designed to give pleasure, enjoyment, amusement, or relaxation to an audience, which includes tourists. To this end, this administration, however, has shown a deep sense of responsibility and commitment towards the development of entertainment and culture. This is evident in the refurbishing of the Glover Memorial Hall, an ancient historical landmark within the state. This is one of the oldest theatre halls in Lagos. Still in the bid to promote entertainment, to celebrate an icon, legend of Afrobeat, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture organized a show tagged Eko on Show to celebrate Nigeria's 61st independence anniversary, as well as pay tribute to the late Fela Anikulapo Kuti. This was in recognition of the huge impact made by Fela through his genre of music while he was alive and even in death, describing his memory as evergreen and the celebration of his posthumous birthday as a deserving one.
She said, long you will continue to live. Meaning, Fela lives. She too accepts it. Let's be frank with ourselves and you people, Joe. Reason well. The man saying behind Nikolakbo, he has death in his power, she will never die. 25 years after, I'm here on a day here, with the hear, with the see, with the watch, waiting to go on all around the world. The greatest one when the entire world, the respect from this part of the planet called Africa. The first in anything in this world is always the marker. The first African to be represented in the height of theaterdom in the world is Fela Nikolakbo Kuti on Broadway. There can't be another first.
The 15th of October, the birthday of a late icon, was deliberately chosen for the Eko on Show event to entertain Lagosians and also celebrate the life of the music legend. Apart from the entertainment part of a show, there was also a fashion display, dance and cultural by the Lagos State Dance Troupe. The high point of the show was different performances by Nigerian artists, including veteran musicians like Dede, Kwamwan, and Shina Peters, who thrilled participants at the hybrid event to the best of Lagos entertainment. Afrobeat singer Dede Mabiaku brought back the memory of the late legendary Afrobeat founder, Fela Aníkúlápó Kuti. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the tourism sector had suffered setback in the last 2 years, and there had been a massive social and economic impact in both developed and developing countries. Hence, the restart of tourism will help kickstart recoveries and growth.
In a real sense, tourism in the past 2 years has suffered a serious setback due to COVID-19 outbreak. As the reality is dawned on us, now that we may have to live with this virus for a while, the onus is for us to design new strategies to resuscitate this very important sector without compromising all COVID-19 protocol.
No doubt, the effect of COVID-19, which led to the pause in international travel, has made clear the relevance of tourism to our societies. The economic and social impact has been felt far beyond the sector itself.
COVID-19 pandemic has a massive social and economic impact on tourism in both developed and developing states. Marginalized groups and the most vulnerable have been hit hardest of all.
It is obvious that most countries are now moving from their dependence on other sources of revenue, like oil and gas, to tourism. As long as human beings exist, and as long as they continue to move from one place to another, the tourism sector will always thrive. Hence, will always be a potential source of revenue for most countries, and Lagos State is towing that line.